if it's true that her father was abusive, it would explain how she would later end up in an abusive relationship, because our environment produces who we are and we make choices based on what is familiar. If you're used to seeing abuse, it is not shocking that you end up picking an abusive mate. Welcome to another episode of Becoming with Angelina Watkins, and I'm your host, Angelina, your queen of becoming, here to help you achieve emotional, spiritual, and financial prosperity. In this episode, we're going to talk about Fantasia, one of few celebrities you can call by the first name, and we will know who you're talking about. Prince, Beyonce, Fantasia, one of the most memorable American Idol winners, best known for kicking off those shoes and giving us all she has when she performs. Fantasia is a singer, producer, actress, and influencer. We will highlight her rise from teenage mom on welfare, coming out of an abusive relationship, to rising as one of our most beloved R&B singers of all time. But first, let me welcome you all to the show. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining us. I started this podcast to help my women become who they need to be so they can soar beyond their past to higher heights and win at love, life, and money. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, all right? And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Now, let's get into the show. Fantasia. She was born and raised in High Point, North Carolina, and began singing at the age of 5. She chronicles in interviews and memoirs how she performed in the family's gospel group, touring in Alabama and Florida, often being pulled out of school to perform. And so although Fantasia may have experienced some local fame, it is a chance opportunity to audition for American Idol that would change her life forever and catapult her into national fame as the winner of the 3rd season of American Idol in 2004. But not before having a traumatic childhood. In her made-for-TV movie, it shows young Fantasia being teased about her looks. It depicts that her father was aggressive and condescending, possibly abusive towards her mother, and hostile towards others. And so home life can never be bliss with an aggressive parent. However, in her teenage years, Fantasia would be raped at the age of 15 by a classmate, which would drive her to drop out of school. She was already barely going and taking school seriously, but being assaulted would further drive her away. And she was pregnant by the age of 16, on welfare, living in a rundown apartment, and in an abusive relationship with her child's father. Her life was spiraling downhill. So how did Fantasia end up in a downward spiral? So let's first talk about what having an aggressive or abusive father does to a child. It causes health problems, mental issues, depression, anxiety, aggression, self-esteem issues, academic problems, and more. And if it's true that her father was abusive, it would explain how she would later end up in an abusive relationship, because our environment produces who we are and we make choices based on what is familiar. If you're used to seeing abuse, it is not shocking that you end up picking an abusive mate. And so the movie also alludes to being teased about her looks, which leads her to be very insecure about herself, which as she gets older could be why she was focused on looking sexy and deciding to give her virginity up to her boyfriend. And so Fantasia was raped by a classmate. Rape can cause anxiety and fear. And so in the movie, it showed her being nervous about returning to school, worried about what people may think or say. It showed her breaking down and running and never returning. She had a panic attack in the movie. And so rape can also cause depression, self-blame, anger, feelings of helplessness and hopelessness, lack of motivation, which in the movie you can clearly see she was not motivated at all. She had given up, which is why it's so easy for her daughter's father to come back around and persuade her to fall into a life of laying around and having sex. But also Fantasia was a high school dropout. She was already barely going to school. Her father pulling her out of school to perform would set a value of being seen and liked over education. And so she was more concerned about looking sexy and then not doing her schoolwork. And this would make it easy for her to drop out later after being raped. All of this would set an environment for Fantasia to fall into the arms of the wrong person, seeking attention in all the wrong places and from the wrong people to make herself feel good about yourself. Pregnant at the age of 16, living on welfare, and in an abusive relationship. But Fantasia's star quality, practice run of singing in the family gospel group, and her phenomenal vocals would eventually lead her to success, despite her past. American Idol was in its third season and was having auditions, and it was brought to Fantasia's attention that she should audition, and she does, and she gets picked to go through the next round. And then she ends up being part of the 12, eventually winning the finale, beating out her contender by 1.3 million votes. And this would give Fantasia a record deal and be a forever fan favorite. And she would still have a rocky road to become the star she is today, but healing is not instantaneous when you find success. Sometimes we find success before becoming who we need to be, but success doesn't exempt you from having to heal and become. Fantasia's success includes being the second woman to have her first single to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Her debut album was certified platinum and was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards. Her second album topped the Billboard Hot R&B and Hip Hop for 8 weeks. She won a Grammy off the song Bittersweet from her third album. Her fourth album debuted at #2 in the Billboard 200, and she would also have success as an actress on Broadway playing in The Color Purple. Many of you are living your life in shame and guilt of what happened to you when it's not your mistake to own. Many of you are walking around in shame and guilt of the mistakes you made. Life mistakes and unfortunate happenings do not disqualify you from living an abundant life. Fantasia was a high school dropout, teenage mom, raped, and in an abusive relationship, all before the age of 19 when she won American Idol. What if she had told herself that she didn't have the right to go audition because of her past? When she was on American Idol, they were shaming her for being a single mom. The producers gave her an option to quit. What if she had let what they say cause her to quit? Where would she be right now? Don't allow your past and naysayers cause you to miss out on your dream. You deserve everything God has for you. You just have to be willing to take a chance on yourself and not quit. Okay? Now where you are, it's not where you have to be. Your past does not define you. You define you. So heal, transform, and pursue.